Hello everyone. Firstly, I'd like to apologise to say I'm sorry that it's been so long since my last video. I do have good reason for it, as a lot has happened over the last year. It might not be what you've expected, but it is good news all the same. So I think I left off with my last video that I was going to Newcastle Freeman's Hospital for a lung transplant assessment, and I was hoping to be placed on the transplant list and receive a transplant within a year or so. Unfortunately, after the assessment, I was told that there were sort of complications with my microbiology, which is the sort of bacteria that I grow in my lungs, and that it was going to require a lot more further in-depth testing to be absolutely sure that it was safe to transplant me. So that actually took a whole year to sort out. So over the last year, from sort of November until July, I was sending sputum samples every week or so, in which Newcastle were then testing to see what was growing in the sputum and hoping to come up with a cocktail of drugs that was able to treat the bacteria. This is because after I've had my transplant, what happens is when they take the old lungs out, no matter how careful they are, there's a really high chance of spillage from the old lungs into the chest cavity, and this spillage obviously contains the bacteria from my old lungs. So when they place the new healthy lungs inside, the bacteria that's spilt out into the chest cavity can infect the new lungs. So therefore, as soon as you've had the transplant, they need to give you a course of intravenous antibiotics that are absolutely certain to treat the bacteria that may have spilt and infect the new lungs. And they want to give you sort of a 2-week plus blast of antibiotics to eradicate the bacteria, to make sure that your new lungs don't get infected with it, and hopefully you're not to grow the bacteria again. The specific bacteria that I've grown and had problems with is Pseudomonas. This is the most common bacteria grown in people with cystic fibrosis, and it's found in sort of stagnant water, soil, things like that. And the problem is that mine's multi-resistant, so a lot of antibiotics don't work against it. So that's why it took a whole year for them to come up with a cocktail and a mixture of different antibiotics that together would combat the Pseudomonas and eradicate it when I have my new lungs. So hopefully the combination of 3 or more antibiotics will attack it from all angles and give it no chance of surviving in the new lungs. So I'm just going to show you, I've got a little clip of, I went to Newcastle again in July 2014 for my follow-up assessment, and this is when I found out that I was hopefully not, they were 90% sure I was going to be able to go on the transplant list. So it was a really positive trip, and I got to go to the Angel of the North as well while I was up there. So I'll show you a couple of photos of that too. So here's my little sort of video that I did. I hope you like it. end of this second assessment that I had in July, they asked for one final sample just to make sure that the Pseudomonas agar in my lungs hadn't mutated further, and that the antibiotic cocktail that the microbiologists had been working hard on all year was definitely going to work against it. So it was on September the 9th, 2014, that I got the call from Newcastle Freeman's Hospital to tell me that the cocktail was effective and I was placed on the transplant list. So I've now been on the active waiting list for a double lung transplant for about 2 months. So yeah, it's just a bit of a waiting game now. I'm really, really happy, and I mean, it would be a dream come true to get my transplant this year, sort of for Christmas or before the new year. It would be amazing end to the year, but if not, I just hope that I do get it in the near future and I'm able to start sort of a new chapter in my life with new lungs and hopefully get back to work and get active. One of my dreams is to take up running and hopefully maybe run half marathons in aid of the Cystic Fibrosis Trust and in memory of my friend Emma, because that was one of her dreams, that when she had a transplant she wanted to do a marathon. So I feel like I kind of want to take that on and make her dream come true. So I'm feeling really hopeful. A lot of people say to me, I can't believe how positive you are, you know, in the position you're in where I'm not working, I'm kind of waiting around at home, feeling ill a lot of the time. I am now on permanent IVs to keep me healthy. I'm requiring my oxygen every night. I'm doing my NG overnight feeding every night. So, you know, there's a lot that I'm contending with, and that's, you know, CF treatment is kind of taken over my life a bit, but I know that it's necessary now to enable me to hopefully have the best chance at getting a transplant. So when I get my call, I'm healthy enough and I'm in a really good position to recover well and start a happy, healthy life with new lungs. But yeah, I'd say that hope is the most important and crucial thing to my mentality. Having the hope that I'm going to be able to start this new life and do all these amazing things that currently I'm unable to do. I've got a lot to look forward to. Getting placed on the transplant list is a lot more complicated than people think. So when they told me that I am now eligible for a transplant and was going to be put on the list, I had to make decisions about what types of lungs I was willing to accept, which I don't think people know about. So I was given a form, and on the form it had options of different types of donors and lungs that may be offered to me. So these included a current smoker, an ex-smoker, somebody that may have died from a brain tumour, someone that may have had promiscuous sexual behaviour, which implies that they could have something like hepatitis A, Hep B, or AIDS, HIV. They say that the sort of chance of that is extremely low because they do test the lungs, and obviously hopefully they'll have on record whether that person has those infections, but there is a very small chance that nobody knows they've got them. So I had to obviously decide whether I'd be willing to take that risk. I also had to decide whether I'd have somebody's lungs who is over the age of 60 years old. And then also someone that's been a drug user, so has injected drugs. So again, the risk of sort of HIV, AIDS, hepatitis are raised. So it's quite a lot to sort of take on and read through. I was given lots of information to read through, and I had to kind of weigh up the risks about each type of donor lungs, because realistically you don't really want any of them. You want a pair of nice, clean, healthy lungs that haven't had any of those sort of risks that come with them. So after speaking to the transplant team, because they give you a lot of they talk through it all with you and they answer all your questions, I decided that, do you know what, the team are so fantastic, and I just trust them implicitly, their medical judgment, and I know that they wouldn't give me a pair of lungs that they didn't think were going to work for me. So therefore, I ticked the box that said I would be willing to accept any lungs that my transplant team deem suitable for me, which kind of is good. It takes the power out of my hands and the worry, in the sense that if they ring me and they say, "Oh, Holly, we've got a pair of lungs for you, but they're a smoker's lungs, do you still want them?" Whereas now they'll just ring and they'll say, "Holly, we've got a pair of lungs, come on up," sort of thing, and I don't have to worry about that because they've already made the decision that they're good enough. In terms of now being on the list, my call could come at any time. People keep saying to me, "How long will you be waiting for? Is there an average wait time? When will you get your call?" And the answer is, I do not know. I cannot tell you an average wait time. I know people that have been on the list for 2 weeks and got their call, other people 2 years, and then unfortunately some people are on the list for 2 years plus and never get their call. So there is absolutely no answer to that question. I can just only hope that it's soon. So it's kind of scary that my phone can ring at any time. I have to be prepared to go, because when I get the call to say, "Holly, we've got some lungs for you," I have to be ready to leave the house within 10 to 20 minutes. Transport arrives in the form of an ambulance, and they will blue light me all the way from Leicester, where I live, to Newcastle, which when we drive is about a 4-hour drive. Hopefully with blue lights it should be 2.5 to 3 hours. So it's kind of a bit scary and nerve-wracking. So when I got put on the list, they told me I have to have a transplant bag packed. So me and my mum went out shopping and bought all pyjamas and all the things that I'm going to need for when I'm in hospital after my transplant. So it was a good excuse to go shopping. So I now have a bag packed, ready. So as soon as that call comes, I can pick up the bag, and on the top of the bag I've got a list of last minute things to pack as well. Well, of course, my mum and dad have to have transplant bags packed as well, because they're going to be the ones coming up with me to the hospital and staying with me for the duration of my stay. So, my mum and dad have been a bit stressed about all that. So we have 3 bags in the spare bedroom already packed. My mum is I'm only allowed one person in the ambulance with me, so that's going to be my mum. And my dad is going to have to drive up behind us, which I found quite scary at first, because I was like, "Oh, well, what if my dad doesn't get there in time?" But I've been reassured that when I get to the hospital, I'll be there for quite a while, having sort of pre-op tests like x-rays, bloods, and I have to have a shower and things like that before I'm ready for theatre. So hopefully, while all that's going on, there's plenty of time for my dad to arrive. So yeah, it's all, everything's as prepared as it can be, I guess. And I just really hope I get my call soon. There is a chance when I get a call that it will be a false alarm. So this means that the donor and the retrieval team, so the people that go to the hospital where the donor is and retrieve the lungs, have called Newcastle and say, we've got a pair of lungs and they're a match for me, and so therefore they'll ring me and tell me, "We've got some lungs, Holly," and they'll bring me up to the hospital. However, in the time that all this happens, there's a chance that the retrieval team can take the lungs out and actually decide, "Oh, they're not quite as good as we thought they were. We're not going to be able to transplant them in Holly after all." and so therefore I would get sent home without having the transplant. So that's another scary thing, that you've got all these emotions, the anxiety, the worry, and the whole going up to the hospital and things, and then after you've prepared yourself for the big operation, the day you've been waiting for, and then it can get sort of called off at the last minute. But the only way I think you can look at it is that it's kind of like a dummy run, a preparation, and you can kind of hopefully then get your head around it and be less worried the next time, and know that it's for the best that it didn't go ahead. And I'm a big believer of everything happens for a reason, and that just wasn't your time. It wasn't the right time for you to get your transplant. So I'll show you a quick picture of sort of my transplant bag and everything I've packed. So when I get my call, obviously I'm not gonna be able to get in touch with people very easily, because although I want to let people know that I've had a call, I kind of don't want to worry them in case it is a false alarm. And by the time I know that it's not a false alarm, I'm going to be whizzed down to theatre, so it's going to be up to my parents to sort of let everyone know that I've gone down and I'm having my transplant. What I'm going to try and do is kind of do a bit of a video diary, seeing as I'm going to be having quite a bit of time sort of between getting the call and the sort of 2.5 hour journey up to the hospital and things like that. I'm going to try and sort of video my thoughts and feelings as all that's happening, and get my mum and dad to take plenty of photos of me sort of going down to theatre, and hopefully when I come round. And I really want to sort of document the whole journey for people to see as it is, because I often think on TV, when you see these things, they kind of edit out the difficult stages. So it's like you go down to theatre, you have the transplant, and then they show the clip of you running around and everything's great. But I kind of want to do a more realistic video about what it's really like, the recovery side of things, because it's not as easy as having a transplant and then jumping out of bed and running around. There's a lot of recovery and sort of physio and strength building that has to go on. So I want to record all that for you, and hopefully that's something that you'd all be interested in seeing. Obviously I have no idea when that's going to be. I can't tell you all my next video is going to be in so many weeks or months or whatever. It will be up when it's up. And when I've come around from transplant and I'm well enough to sort of let you all know how I'm doing. I do now have a blog, which I try to blog on quite regularly. That kind of lets everyone know what I'm up to day to day, sort of trips I've been on and adventures I've had, and just how I'm feeling. So that's now in my sort of little info box. So for everyone that constantly messages me and comments asking how are you, what's going on, if you subscribe or follow my blog, that will keep you updated in between my videos. And yeah, that's it really. I just wanted to say a massive thank you actually to everyone who subscribes to me. I'm absolutely overwhelmed with how many subscribers I've got. I never thought when I first started doing these videos that I'd ever get so many people interested, and it's really, really heartwarming and inspiring to know that I've created awareness for CF and taught people about it and made them realise that it's more than just having a cough. It's a whole lot more than that, and hopefully encouraged people to maybe do some fundraising and raise awareness themselves, so one day, CF stands for Cure Found rather than Cystic Fibrosis. So yeah, thank you everyone for all your support over the past few years and for watching my videos, and hopefully next time you see a video from me, it's when I've had a double lung transplant and I'm well on the way to a healthy life with new lungs. So yeah, thank you. Bye.